Okay. So, as you remember, we were talking about the structure of the team, and we discussed about the team, the composition of the team, what is the role in the knowledge management project, okay, what kind of characteristics are required by team. Okay. So, based on this, we move to the next part, that is where the focus on the technology, right. Now, if you look at the technology per se, it is nothing else but the hardware and software that is used by the group or the IT team, sorry, the KM team to have a good knowledge management system. Now, when I am talking about the technology infrastructure, okay, so who is going to be part of the technology infrastructure part, right? It is going to be basically people from the IT department, okay, and then also IT staff who is going to basically look into the nitty gritty or the routine operations, right. Suppose bandwidth is not working, internet is not working, okay, there are certain problems. Okay. So, the mail is not working. So, they are going to look into these issues, internet IT stuff, and then you can also have external experts who are nothing else, but they are also domain experts in the field of information technology, and they have good knowledge about the IT infrastructure. Okay. So, what is the role of the IT people or the IT staff in the process? Okay. Mainly they are going to provide the technology expertise. Okay. What kind of technology they are going to have, what kind of system they want to have. Say for example, you want to integrate certain systems. So, whether you want to go for integrative ERP systems or you are going to have just one ERP system. Similarly, whether you are going for SAP. So, whether you are going to go for the entire SAP module or whether you are going to for one module. Another issue could be related to what kind of technology you are going to use for that particular system, right. So, basically if you look at the IT role, it is very important so far as having a system or a design where you are going to put data, right, or the information. Okay. So, they are basically involved in the implementation of the design. Okay. So, which is going to provide a backbone or what you call the infrastructure for the game, right. So, they must be good in the technology, they must understand what kind of technology it is and how it is going to be useful. They also should understand it, okay, what kind of cost would be involved, okay, what kind of resources would be required to bring about this technology. Okay. And they are basically, they could be programmers, they could be coders, okay, they could be system analyst people. So, these are the people what you call them internal IT staff, okay, because as a part of the project they are going to write code, program, they are going to be systems programmer, analyst. So, these are the IT staff people and they must be good in the area. Okay. And then they bring their own capabilities, okay, in writing or whatever it is, and they also know that whether the system is going to work. So, they also look into the capability, okay, and limitations also of the system that is going to be devised. Okay. So, what kind of knowledge and skill base is required in terms of the characteristics, that yes, they must be good in technology, very good in science in that way. Okay. And apart from being good in technology, they should also have good interpersonal relationship, okay, in terms of communicating effectively, relating with people, okay, and these kind of things. Okay. And they must work together. Okay. So, all the entire IT staff should work as a coordinated team, right, and then they should be able to understand the perspective which is brought by other people, because ultimately whatever is understood by them, they are going to make use of it to write the code in the program, right. So, they must understand the requirement of the people and then they are going to codify it, right. Suppose the knowledge is being captured by the knowledge team, right, then how it is going to be put into the system. Now, as a part of the project team, it is the responsibility of the IT to codify, to organize and structure the knowledge, right. So, when it comes to this part, they must be able to understand the requirement and then make it such so that people are able to make use of it at later stage, right. So, they should be able to incorporate these things into the design, okay, and at the same time they should be able to see that how the system can be upgraded. Okay. So, they must continuously learn about the system, that how to improve and innovate this particular system which they are using, and they should be credible. Credible in the sense, if they are not credible, probably the system will not work. It means that people have confidence and trust on these people, okay, and they should, the idea is that the, people in the organization with other stakeholders are their customers. So, how the extent to which they are satisfied with the KM system, it is very important. For example, in IIT Kharagpur we have a ERP system, okay, and there is a technical staff which manages and maintain this IT system, right, but the data is fed, programs are written by the IT people, but ultimately it is the users who should be satisfied at the end of the day, right. So, the users may be the students, may be the staff, the faculty who are going to make use of the system may find it good, okay, may find it user friendly, okay, and that is when they are going to be satisfied, right. So, the role of IT staff is in this kind of program is to see that the people are satisfied with these kind of things. So, that is where the role of the people is technology is concerned. So, what we have discussed now, the team composition, their characteristics and their role in the KM, and also the role of the technology, their team and their role. Now, coming to the third part, that is the organization. Okay. Organization here I mean by the people who belong to the upper layers of the equivalent, that is top and senior managers, right, or the chief knowledge officers or the chief learning officers or knowledge champions, because these people are on top of the hierarchy. Maybe the chief knowledge officer is going to report to the CEO of the company, right, and that is how the CEO comes to know about the KM system, its design and other various other issues related to the knowledge management system. For example, if you look at various IT companies nowadays, they have appointed chief knowledge officers. So, what is the role of these chief knowledge officers? They are basically going to coordinate and integrate the KM activities related to their organization, and they are going to report this to the top management, right. So, if you look at the top management and those who are going to sponsor these kind of programs are the chief knowledge officers, they have a very important role to play in the process. Now, what is their role? They are supposed to support this process, right, to start with, right. Supporting in what way? Because they could be required financial support, manpower support, resources to establish a KM system, and that is where top management has an important role to play, okay. And then they have to see that how this knowledge management system is going to help you or help them to visualize or realize the vision of the organization. So, it must be aligned with the corporate strategy. It means that any KM system must help to achieve business objectives, and if that is achieved, probably the organization will be able to realize its goals and objectives in terms of productivity, efficiency, quality, whatever it is, right. So, the the chief knowledge officer should be in a position to connect the KM strategy with the business strategy, and at the same time they should communicate it to the top management that how KM system is going to help them to realize the vision and goals and objectives of the organization, right. And then there could be part of the steering committee who is going to oversee the overall effort that is done by the KM team, right. Then what kind of characteristics would be required? If you look at senior and top managers, okay, they should understand the process, they must be credible enough in the sense that yes, they know that how system is going to work, whether it is reliable, whether it is consistent and valid, the extent to which it is going to help them to achieve growth and development, that is one thing. Second thing, they must be able to provide strong leadership, okay, because unless leadership support is available, the KM team may not be able to work properly, right. So, the leadership support in the sense that understanding the requirement, providing support, okay, and wherever there is any bottlenecks, removing those bottlenecks, right. So, this is the role of the leadership. So, the leadership must be able to meet the expectations of the team, and the team should accept them as leaders because they are able to provide it, right. And the top management, since they are supposed to visualize the big picture and see how KM is going to contribute. So, another important area of concern for top managers is that they must have the ability to visualize or link KM with the business goals and objectives, right. So, like they must eat their own dog food. Okay. So, unless that is correct, it means they must realize that okay, what is happening, how it is going to happen, and that is what we say that okay, you must put yourself in the shoes of the others, so that you can understand what is happening. Okay. So, they must be actually in a position to see what is happening at the ground level, okay, how these people are working, what are the various things that is required, and accordingly provide support, resources and leadership. When it comes to chief knowledge officers, it is very important for them, because these are the people who basically are the leaders for the KM effort, because you can say they are the overseers or coordinators of the KM effort in the organization, okay. And they are going to coordinate and integrate all the efforts, and they actually act as a link, a bridge between the CEO and the KM team, because they are going to oversee this and they are going to report it to the top managers. So, in this kind of hierarchical structure, CQOs play a very important role, and they should have all such qualities related to provide leadership, understanding things, what is happening, how to integrate and coordinate activities, must understand the technology as well. So, that they are able to provide better support, right. So, what we have discussed about structuring the KM teams, and then we have discussed about the role which team can play, how the team is to be formed, what is the role of the technology and what is the role of the top management, right. And now, we are moving further to discuss some other things, the composition and the selection criteria for the team, right. As we discussed early, that when we are going to form a team, one thing is clear, that is it must be a cross functional team. It means you have people from different domain who are experts in their field or specializations, okay, so that you can bring in diversity in the team, right. So, this is a prerequisite. Okay. Once this prerequisite is available, then you move further, okay, and then make sure that team works effectively. So, when it comes to effectively working as a team, then what are the things that you need to keep in mind? Okay. Since people are from different background, expertise, area of specializations, okay, and they are going to work together. So, they must work cohesively, they must be able to integrate and coordinate their activities with each other, so that knowledge resource is generated. Okay. Now, the idea is that having a cohesive team does not come out immediately. Okay. So, the people who are going to be part of the team, they must have good interpersonal skills, communication skills, they should be able to understand each other very well, okay. And they should be able to appreciate and understand, not only understand and appreciate, but also learn from others. Okay. If you have these kind of characteristics from the team members, then you would be in a position to devise a better team, right. And if you are not going to have these characteristics among the team members, then your group is not going to be very cohesive. Okay. So, you also need to ensure that you create a level playing field, they are able to create the leaders among themselves, okay. And you know that as per the characteristics of the team, there are two major things that come out. One is the leadership is shared, okay. Since everybody is an expert who is formed the team, okay, so the leadership is shared by each one of them, okay. And then equally each person of the team is equally responsible, okay. So, mutual responsibility and shared leadership, these are the two major characteristics of the team. Okay. So, when you are going to design the team, make sure that these things are kept in mind, okay, and then you can design a team which is going to be very effective. Okay. So, when I am talking about functional diversity, it means people working from different background. Okay. Make sure that you are able to resolve conflict within the team. Okay. So, you should before you allow them to work at a team, make sure that you go for some kind of team building exercises to make sure that they are able to appreciate, learn, understand each other, they are ready to share knowledge with each other, because each one of them is a leader. Okay. And then you also ensure that these two criteria they fully form, that is shared leadership and mutual responsibility. And if that is done, probably you can expect better outcomes or desirable outcomes from the team. Okay. And then you are going to have a kind of synergy from the team, which is going to be more productive, creative and innovative in the approach. Okay. Now, moving further, so when it comes to designing the project team, okay, the first, what is the various tasks that is to be done. Okay. First is you have to define the role. So, each person of the team has to define what they are going to contribute and what they expect from each other, right. So, you need to define the role of each person, okay, and that starts with the project leaders roles. Okay. Now, if you look at this, because he is also part of the KM team. Okay. So, you have to ensure that the leader must be credible, okay. He should have authority and resources to his disposal, so that he can help the team members. Okay. Okay. But he should be stable. You do not keep changing frequently the team members, because it does not give a good signal to the people or the members. So, it should be very stable. Okay. He should be able to provide the leadership support in terms of able to facilitate, consult, and should be able to resolve conflicts among the team members. Okay. He should be able to take charge of the situation, right. He should actively participate in terms of scheduling, coordination of the project activities, okay. And he should be able to coordinate with the top management. Okay. So, the best part here is that you can think of it is that have a chief knowledge officer, okay. And you make sure that these qualities are there in the chief knowledge officers, because as a chief knowledge officer you need to ensure that he is going to act as a link, he should be able to provide you direction, support, resources, okay. And then he should be trusted by the top management, he should be able to relate himself and communicate what is happening with the team, right. And he should be actually part to the decision making when it comes to selection of the team members. So, that he is a party to it, okay. He should be able to make sure that the decision that is taken is with consensus, everybody participate, and that is what we know structured decision making, okay. And he should be very knowledgeable in the sense that he could understand complex problems and what kind of issues which may arrive, okay, during the project, okay. So, if these criteria is there, then you can select a leader as a project of the knowledge management program, right. So, starting with the leader, then you have next part, that is defining the team composition, right, and what would be the selection criteria for the team members. Okay. So, since you are going to have a knowledge project team, knowledge management project team. So, and you are going to define the criteria for selecting team as a part of the KM team, right. So, you have to see that they belong to different areas of specializations and background. So, that is a prerequisite taken for granted. Okay. But apart from this specific criteria, you also need to look at some other criteria, right. For example, they must be good in their domain. It means that in their functional area they must be very good. Okay. They have a very long sufficient experience, okay, with the organization or outside, depending upon where they have worked, not necessarily within the organization, because if they have worked outside the organization as consultants or as a part of the KM team, probably it is going to be beneficial for you. Okay. And they should have the kind of knowledge and skill that is required, okay, so that they are able to translate or they are able to represent the concerns of their domain in the KM, right. Otherwise, what will happen? Their domain will not be fully represented, it would be underrepresented, right. So, it is very important to put their perspectives from their departments or their domain area to the team members, so that others can understand it. They could work full time or part time, it depends upon the requirement, right. And they should be part of the core team, not the temporary group, right. And they must believe in the project. Okay. I mean a very clear vision about the project, what it is going to happen, do, how it is going to improve the knowledge and skill base of the people, and how the knowledge that would be derived from this system is going to be useful for the people, right. So, this is the most important criteria for team members, and when you are going to select people for the team, okay, then make sure that they meet all these criteria. Okay. Otherwise, you cannot expect them to contribute. Okay. And if you have followed these criteria, then what are the benefits? Yes, the knowledge from each domain area is going to be represented, and you would be each people from each domain area is going to contribute there. Okay. And then later on you are going to make use of it, right. So, this is about defining the team. So, once we have defined that what is the role of the project manager, okay, in a knowledge management project, and who are going to be the members of the team and who is going to coordinate that, right. Now, another issue is that whether you are going to have a team specifically for project manager who is going to work continuously on this, or whether you are going to have a temporary team. Once the knowledge management system is devised, okay, you are going to disband this team, right. There are different advantages and disadvantages of this. If you are going to have a permanent team of knowledge management system, in what way it is going to be beneficial? See, knowledge is something that is not static, it is dynamic and keep evolving over period of time. So, it is better to have a knowledge management team, okay, which regularly does this work of encoding, storage, retrieval of knowledge. Okay. So, if you have a permanent a temporary team, then what will happen? Once the knowledge management system is devised, okay, then people disband and go back to their work. Okay. And then only you have IT staff who is going to manage and maintenance, right. So, there are a lot of issues that need to be looked into. Okay. So, let there be a set of people who are going to be regularly as a part of the team, okay, and then this should be called the core team. Then you can have, okay, a temporary team, okay, and this team may be flexible and the members keep on changing depending upon their representation, the way they are going to contribute to the knowledge process, right. So, the core team should include champions or the senior managers or the project leaders, that could be CEOs CQO, IT head, okay, and then representations from core business areas. Okay. So, they must form the core team. Then you can have temporary members who come and go and contribute to the process, right. Then another issue is lifespan and sizing. Okay. So, there are two school of thought. One that, okay, since game is something that is dynamic, it will continue, okay, that and there is going to be expansion and these kind of things. So, let it go on, it means let this team continue to work together, right, because you are going to manage regularly on a lifetime basis. Okay. It is not that you are going to manage knowledge today only, okay. And it is a self eliminating field, self eliminating in the sense that when new knowledge comes, old knowledge is driven out, right. So, you have to see that since it is evolving, okay, and you need to keep on changing the content of the knowledge element, and so you should keep on doing this. So, it is a lifelong thing that one should go for and continue doing it, right. Then another issue is that you have to decide about the size. Size should not be very big. Okay. You have to see that the team of 7 is ideal. If you are moving beyond 7 to 9, it is acceptable, but beyond that it may not work. Okay. So, make sure that this team size is continuously working and evolving over a period of time to ensure the kind of knowledge management system that they are going to devise is going to be effective in the long run, right. And those who are working for this, what about them? So, you also need to link this with the reward system, okay, and make sure that those who are going to implement and use it effectively and contribute to organizational performance are proportionately rewarded. So, that is equally important. Now, we will discuss some other issues. So, we have talked about the project leader and what kind of characteristics he should have, what is the criteria for having a project leader, in what way it is going to contribute. Okay. So, either you have a separate project leader or the CQO, the chief knowledge officer, can himself be the project leader, right. The idea is that the project leader or CPO should be able to provide the resources, the leadership, okay, to the KM team. So, if he is able to provide, it does not matter whether it is a project leader or the CQO, right. But any project which is led by either a CQO or the project manager must be supportive, make sure that all the bottlenecks are removed, all the barriers are not there when you are going to implement this kind of thing, and it is very focused, okay. And at the same time it is able to get the support and resources from the top management, okay. And another important requirement, another important task you can say for the project managers are to monitor the progress, okay, in terms of how well the project is doing, how much resources are being spent, what are the workloads of the people, whether you have followed schedules and timelines to complete in the relevant time frame or not. Okay. So, basically you are going to follow scheduling and all kind of things as per the project management requirement, like you have a part in CPM chart. So, make sure that your scheduling and timing is perfect, and accordingly the project is progressing, and if there are any deviations, they are going to put an extra effort to ensure that it is done. Okay. So, the role of project leader is very important in the process, and then he is going to solve issues related to conflict in the group, okay, and then he also see that how things should be done. So, ultimately he is going to take charge and delegate authority down the line to the team members, right. This is the role of the project manager. Another important issue is the internal dynamics, that is what I was discussing. Issues related to the team, okay, because team members must be able to understand each other, appreciate and learn from each other, right. But there could be trivial issues like conflict of interest, okay, dominance, not being very cohesive, not understanding others perspective. So, these are the issues which may basically cripple the team effort. So, these kind of internal dynamics must be looked into by the project leader, and then he should facilitate in the process to see that how he can clarify differences among the teams, okay, how he can clarify assumptions, so that people are ready to share their knowledge, work with each other, right. And then he makes sure that how team members are going to understand each other and resolve their issues themselves to start with, and if does not happen, then he is going to see that how he is going to start the negotiation process to ensure that the conflict is resolved within the team, so that they can work effectively as a team. Moving further, related to translation and delegation, right. As a project leader, you should be able to translate the startup stage, right, especially with the help of IT and the user teams, to ensure that what are the each other's viewpoints and whether each person has understood the other's perspective or not. Okay. Similarly, he should be able to see that the knowledge flows, okay, the actual knowledge flows, okay, from the people and goes to the system, right, and people are able to collect relevant data from their departments through meetings, surveys, interviews and focus groups. That is how the people or the domain experts would get knowledge, and that is to be captured by the knowledge developers. Then another issue is users participation, that it is equally important, okay, to ensure that ultimately the users who are going to make use of the KM system, they also participate in the process, okay, and you allow these users to check and see that how well the system is working. Okay. So, you have a to start with, you can have a preliminary version of the KM system, put it to the users and see, get the feedback and to see that how well it is going to work, right. So, that is where user participation is ensured. Then you develop a prototype. Prototype is nothing else, but is some kind of pilot testing is done, right. So, you create a prototype to start with at a smaller level of KM system, and then you put it to use, okay. Because if you are going to implement the full fledged KM system, if it fails, then the cost will be huge. So, it is a good idea to have a prototype, though we will discuss about prototyping and development in detail, but the idea here is to ensure that this prototype is successful, and if there are any feedback based on the prototype and uses of the end users, then probably you will be in a position to understand what is happening, right. So, if prototype successfully meets the expectations of the users, then you can move ahead and go for a full fledged knowledge management systems, right. And what are the criteria on the basis of which you are going to judge the prototype? Easy to use, that is how well it interfaces with the users, how functional it is, how it is designed. So, on these criteria you can check that how it works. See, this is a prototype, right, and you get feedback through interviews, focus groups, questionnaires from teams, and come to this is the KM team which is getting feedback from this, and then try to see that how well it is working, right. Then the project space, okay. Project space, that what is intended by this project, what it intends to achieve, right, that is to be decided. Okay. It means that the extent to which it is going to meet the goals and objectives of the organizations, where it is going to fit, at what level the knowledge management system is going to be there. For example, if you are going to be a KM leader or a CQO, what would be his level in the hierarchy, that is to be decided. Okay. That is very important, because in the value chain you have to see that where it is going to fit into the hierarchy. So, usually KM CQOs are at the second or third level, okay, so that they can better coordinate and integrate the activities. Okay. Then you also look into the financial and other constraints that could be there for the project, right. Then you also need to see that the level of commitment which is there, okay, how we are going to remove cultural blockades, okay, so that people are ready to share and extend their knowledge, okay, and who are your competitors who have gone for these kind of projects in the past, and how we are going to compete with them so far as this is. Then ultimately meeting the meeting the stakeholders expectations, right. It is very, very important, because ultimately it is the stakeholders who are going to make use. So, you interact with them, communicate the objective, tell them how it is going to be used, and then you get feedback in terms of their perception about the system to ensure its effectiveness, right. Then if it fails, then what? Then you have to see that what happens. See, some of the surveys which have been done, and where failures have cost a lot of money to the people, okay. So, make sure that the project is defined in the right way, okay, and so that it does not fail, okay. And then you have to see that the users who are going to make use, they should be confident to make use of it, and they find the some value out of it, otherwise it is not possible, right. And then you have to see the risk that is involved, right. So, the most important thing that you can look at is the customer mandate, okay. The ultimate use is by the KM project, okay. So, if you look at this, okay, how much control as a project manager you have, okay, and how important that is, okay. So, you make sure that yes, this is the high risk tool, right, and this is what you are building same as you are using, okay. It means there is no gap, and then you also need to look into the environment and the execution part, right. So, what you need to look at is when it comes to categorizing risk, that you have to see that where the risk is maximum, okay. Then the controlling and the balancing requirement we already talked about, that how what kind of controlling and balancing is required by the top management. They have to look into the payoff, risk, and these kind of things, which is very, very important, okay. So, ultimately this is what we have learned in this lecture, that is how we are going to identify key stakeholders, what the how we identify the sources of required expertise, and then how we are going to have a good project leader, what are the critical failure points, what is the role of external consultants, and how we can develop a balance between KM team and the technological structure. Thank you very much.